Hello everyone, and welcome to this webinar. It's my pleasure to be hosting this webinar today to tell you all more about what studying at the University of Gothenburg could look like for you. We are very happy to have many different people join us from all over the world today, and it's great to see that so many of you are interested in studying in Sweden and in Gothenburg. I'm Matthias, and today I'm joined by three of our international students, Bettina, Samia, and Saul, who will be also sharing their insights and experiences with you today. So in this webinar today, we'll introduce you to the University of Gothenburg, some of our bachelor's and master's programs, what student life at the university is like, and we'll also take a quick look at the application process. So, as I said, today we will be talking about the University of Gothenburg, of course, because we want you to know who we are, what we offer, what we value, and what you can expect from us as a student. So we will cover a brief overview of the university, as well as the range of study subjects that we offer. We will also give you an introduction to the city of Gothenburg, where we're located, and then we'll also get to talk about the application procedure. And after that, we'll finally get to hear from our international student ambassadors, Bettina, Samia, and Sol, and they will be sharing some of their insights of what it's like to study here. And at the end of the webinar, there will be an opportunity to ask questions in a Q&A. Please note that for now, the chat is disabled, but instead, at the end of the webinar, you can submit your question through the Q&A function. So we won't necessarily be able to answer your questions while we have the presentation going on. So please just wait with your questions until the end, and then we'll start the Q&A. So, for those of you who may not be so familiar with the geography of Sweden, Scandinavia, or the city of Gothenburg, let me provide a quick introduction. So Sweden is located in Northern Europe, and it is the largest country in Scandinavia. Sweden is known for many things, for example, its world-famous brands like IKEA or Spotify or the Nobel Prize, but also for its nature and efforts in sustainability and climate change awareness, for example. The country also has a history in striving for equality, inclusivity, and offers a great work-life balance, which also in our case translates into a great study-life balance. And now turning to Gothenburg. Gothenburg is the second largest city in Sweden and home to around 1 million people in the city and surrounding areas. And it's located pretty much in the heart of Scandinavia and in the heart of Northern Europe, but still very close to many European hubs like London, Paris, Copenhagen, or Berlin. And Gothenburg is a vibrant, welcoming city on Sweden's west coast, where you find a unique combination of urban city life paired with easy access to stunning nature. So right there in the middle of Scandinavia, in the city of Gothenburg, here we are at the University of Gothenburg. The university was first established in 1891, so it's more than 130 years old. As the Gothenburg University College, as it was called back then. And it has now turned into one of Sweden's most popular and one of Northern Europe's most comprehensive universities. And today we are very proud to have a long tradition of internationally recognized research and groundbreaking achievements. At the university, we really like to embrace free thinking and collaborative environments where students and academic staff can come together and explore new perspectives together. We really, doing that, we also really want to provide you with a non-hierarchical and open-minded study environment where your ambition as a student can run free. For us, it's always important to enable critical thinking in the classroom, so that it's always possible to push education, research, and innovation in new directions. So this is why we're also really proud to attract students from all around the world with the drive and minds to create change, because at the University of Gothenburg, we believe that ambition can take you far, but free thinking can take you even further. So let's also talk some numbers. The university has around 54,000 students today, making it one of Sweden's biggest universities. Around 10 to 15% of these students are international students, and in general, we're very well connected internationally, as we welcome around 1,000 international exchange students every semester, and our alumni are also spread out through the world in over 80 different countries. So for you, as international students, we offer 9 different international programs on bachelor's level and around 80 international master's programs. So we are pretty much a multidisciplinary university, as the University of Gothenburg is home to one of the most comprehensive offerings of courses and programs in Sweden. And almost 90 programs is a bit too much to go through all of them right now, but our international programs are covering a variety of fields. For example, business, management and economics, humanities, communication and language, fine arts, crafts and design, music and performance, educational sciences, health sciences, social science and behavioral science, IT and computer science, innovation and entrepreneurship, as well as natural science and mathematics. And a complete overview of all our international programs can be found on our website. We are also very proud to have many of these before mentioned subjects represented in the top 100 of several renowned higher education rankings, as well as our overall ranking in the top 200 of several global university rankings, which also makes us one of the highest ranked universities in Sweden. And we are also very happy to be ranked number 58 globally among the most innovative universities worldwide. But maybe also one of the most valuable recognitions is the recognition that we have received from our students, as the latest international student barometer showed that 92% of our students here at the University of Gothenburg stated that they were very happy or happy with their studies. So that really means a lot to us. Because also we believe at the university and in the city of Gothenburg that we have something to offer for everyone. So the city is well known for its friendly locals and laid-back atmosphere, which makes it relatively easy to navigate for newcomers. And as it attracts students, academics, companies and talent from all over the world, Gothenburg also has a very international feel to it. So for Scandinavian standards, it's quite a big city, but also the surrounding nature is always accessible, as you can see here in the picture. And we as a university also really truly embrace that, as in Gothenburg, the city is your campus. The university is a university in the city, and you can see here that our different campus locations are spread throughout the city, so you are always close to the vibrant and active city life, which is truly enriching to your experience here as a student, as we do not have one single campus somewhere outside of the city, but it is rather spread out throughout the city. If all of that sounded somewhat good to you, you may wonder, okay, how do I apply? Or maybe you have already made up your mind, and the reason that you are here today is because you plan to submit, or maybe you have already submitted an application. So today we're just covering pretty much the basics, but we can tell you a little more about how to do so. So in general, all applications are made through the central Swedish higher education application platform called universityadmissions.se. You can see the link here on the screen. And the platform has great explanations of the general requirements you need to fulfill to study in Sweden. And our university website will also tell you what documents and requirements you need to fulfill for the specific program that you might want to apply for. So the application period opens every year in October and closes in January. So for the current application round for studies starting in the autumn semester 2025, The application round closes on January 15th. And until this day, you can select and rank your program applications on the platform. Then after that, you have until February 3rd to submit your supporting documents for your application. But these deadlines, you will also be able to see them on universityadmissions.se. And after you have handed in your application and submitted your application supporting documents, your application will be processed and you will receive a notification of your admission results in late March, early April, depending on whether you applied for a master's program or a bachelor's program. Once you are admitted, you will then receive more information about how to get started with your studies and information about tuition fee payments, if that applies to you. And your first semester will start in late August, early September 2025, accompanied by our welcome program that we host a week ahead of the start of the semester. So this is a brief outline of the application process. We know that all the deadlines and requirements may be confusing and sometimes difficult to keep track of, which is why we will also be hosting a webinar specifically about the application procedure and also about scholarship applications next week on Thursday, the 28th of November. We will have staff, international students, and scholarship holders present who will be able to give their insights and share their expertise, and you will be able to ask your maybe more specific application, scholarship-related questions there in the webinar's Q&A. And you will also receive an email with specific information about the different steps of applying, as well as links to sign up for future webinars and digital events after this webinar. So having covered that, this brings us now to our international student ambassadors that have joined us today, and that we'd love to hear a little more from them. Because just 1 or 2 years ago, they pretty much were in the exact same position as you in the process of maybe starting an application or just having handed in their application. And now here they are at the University of Gothenburg. So yes, who would like to share a bit more about their experience and what it's like to study at the university and how it's been like for you? Maybe Bettina, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone, I'm Bettina. I'm from Finland originally, so really close to Sweden, although Matthias did conveniently leave out the city of Helsinki from the map that he showed earlier. However, I haven't actually studied in Finland before. I did my undergrad in psychology in Scotland, so I have some experience of Scottish universities. And then now I'm here in Gothenburg doing my master's in psychological science. And there's a couple of things that I just want to tell you about kind of being in Gothenburg and studying here. And one of them is the quality of the education. And I, of course, can't speak to any of the other programs, and this is kind of my subjective opinion. But compared to my undergrad education, the education that I am receiving here is just miles and miles better. The standard, the quality is just so high, and I'm really, really happy about it. Because I applied to multiple places, both in Sweden and in Finland when I was looking for a master's, and coming here was definitely the right choice, and I'm very, very happy with it. The other thing that I want you to know about studying in Gothenburg or living here is that you can get a lot of student discounts, because that was one thing that's really important when you think about finances and how you're gonna manage being here. But there's a lot of student discounts that you can get for even things like public transport, for example. So Gothenburg has a really good public transport system, at least in my opinion. You can get trams and buses and trains, and you can get student discounts on all of those. And then there's also, for example, a gym or several gyms within Gothenburg that are owned by student unions, and they give you a really good student price. So you can even get like your physical activity in very cheaply, which is really nice. And then I thought that I would also just mention the climate, because that's something that comes up quite a bit. You know, being in Sweden, you of course get pretty cold winters sometimes, and it actually snowed here today for the first time this year. So there's always that. But some of the questions that I usually receive about the climate is what kind of clothes you should bring. And the answer to that is, everything, of course, because it's warm here in the summer, but it's cold here in the winter. But what I do emphasize is that there's a lot of shopping stores and secondhand stores in Gothenburg. So if you don't have the space or you don't have the right attire when you come here, that's completely fine. Like, you don't need to have everything with you because you can get it very easily from all the shops here, and it's quite useful as well, to be able to kind of pick and choose what you need in the moment instead of trying to think 6 months ahead. So yeah, but all in all, I really like Gothenburg. I think it's a very, very pretty city, and I hope that you think so too if you decide to come here.
Yes, cool. Thank you so much for your insights. And yeah, I think it's really good that you mentioned the weather. For some reason, it always seems to be like the first snow of the winter whenever we are having this webinar. I think last year it was kind of the same. So I don't know what kind of magic we've got work going on here, but we seem to be very powerful here in terms of snow. Sol, do you want to continue and share a bit more about your experiences as a student at the university?
Yeah, for sure. Well, you see there, my name is Marta. I don't often use that name. I usually go by Sol. Yeah, I'm from the US. I actually moved to Sweden before I was a student and then decided to go back to school after 2 years living here in Gothenburg. So my experience is a little bit different since I got a little bit of time with the city before student life and then after student life. And I'm doing my master's in IT and learning. And my undergrad was actually in philosophy and languages. And so actually one thing that I think is important to think about is kind of the learning environments and structures that you usually have. So every program will be a little bit different, of course. But in my case, actually, I found the kind of emphasis on like study-life balance quite good. So, for example, most of my terms, I was having 2 courses, not overlapping, but we would have part of the semester or the term for one course. Then we would finish that and we would move on to another one. And that's vastly different from what I was used to, where I would take up to 4 courses at once and kind of just try to swim through them and navigate that. But what you do is kind of, in my program at least, we concentrate on one subject, get quite deep into that, and then we move on to the next. And that has been really kind of a nice change, actually, nice change of pace. And actually, well, this year is my second year. So this year actually turned out quite different, where I'm doing an internship at a company for my course, one of my courses, and then I'm able to take some electives as well. So it actually really varies, and it's kind of exciting because you get a little bit of everything, get some work experience, and then you can kind of choose some courses that you enjoy. And of course, that's going to be different depending on what your program is or how you choose to come here to exchange, or like if you're coming for more long-term studies. But that's a big change for me. And I also really want to talk about like just the city. So I think Bettina talked about like how well connected it was. And you talked also, Matthias, about, that it's kind of situated in a really easy place where you can get to different major cities. So I definitely like to travel when I'm here. I like to travel in Sweden in the summer, go up north a little bit, do like a road trip, check out like the mountains and everything, and then fly to London. You can take a bus or a train down to Denmark, take the boats, the Stena line to Germany. Like, there's so many ways to travel here. And I have a lot of friends who go crazy with the travel because they have they have breaks, and then they're like, I'm off here, I'm off there, I'm going there, I'm going here. So some people are really into it. I had a friend who just got back from Italy, and she was having a blast because she's from Vietnam. So she's really spending some time to get to know Europe and get to know this part of the world, which is exciting. And my advice for the weather, I would say, yeah, it depends on where you're from. For me, it's not super cold here, but it is dark. So I would say if you plan to come to Sweden, buy yourself a daylight bulb. Those things are a lifesaver. They're amazing. And they will make your winter much easier to handle, and you'll have more energy to study and to hang out with your friends. So that's my advice.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. And also, I just want to add, I feel like sometimes when we talk about things like the weather and the climate, sometimes it sounds a bit like we're painting quite a like dark picture, like, oh, it's so dark, it's so cold, be so prepared. But of course, I always also think of it this way in terms of like, actually in Sweden, we have a very big contrast, for example, between the summer and the winter, which maybe is very different to the experiences that some of you have who are from, I know we have people here from all over the world. Maybe you have different seasons. Maybe you don't have 4 seasons in a year. In Sweden we have 4 seasons a year. So the summers, it's we have very early sunrises and very late sunsets, and then in winter it's maybe way more dark. But I always think like actually there's some kind of beauty in that, of experiencing this kind of like contrast throughout the year. I really like it. And sometimes in the winter it's like, okay, it's dark and I'm tired, and so on. But in the summer you have so much light, and it's really beautiful. I think a very beautiful way to experience nature. And of course,
You're
I'm
right.
also glad. Yeah.
Oh, no, I was going to agree. I love Swedish summer. Swedish summer is the best. It's super fun and really great.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Yes, and I also just think it's great that you mentioned the study and classroom culture, because many courses, for example, at the University of Gothenburg, it depends maybe on programs, what program you study or apply for. Very often you have one course at a time, or 2 courses at a time, and then maybe half of the semester has passed and you switch to 1 or 2 new courses. So you get, because I have also, I have studied somewhere else before. I've studied in Germany, where I had sometimes up to 5 courses at the same time. So then I've come here to Sweden to study, and I thought, wow, I really get time to focus on 1 course at a time, or 2 courses at a time, and thought this is such a way more like focused way of learning and spending time on a course that I have really appreciated. And I say that also as someone who has studied here, that I think that's really like a nice thing about the Swedish system. Yes, just wanted to add that. Yes, we also have Samia with us. Maybe, yeah, how has it been for you being a student at the university? For how long have you been studying here, and what are you studying?
Yes, I'm Samia. I'm from Ghana, which is in the western part of Africa. And I did my bachelor's in Ghana in natural resource management. And I'm in my second year of the Master of Environmental Science program. I would also like to comment on the educational quality like Bettina did. I was also actually very impressed with the kind of education that you get from Swedish universities, particularly University of Gothenburg. It challenges you and it gives you practical skills that help you integrate better into the job market, like really practical skills that you use on the job market. And so that was really great for me. And also, I think another thing that international students usually think about, if you're coming from a totally different culture and system, is how to adjust, how easy it is to adjust. And in my perspective, I think that the University of Gothenburg has very good resources. When I was coming, I had so many questions, and every time I had somebody who would answer my questions, so I had a person that I could direct my questions to, and I would get really good answers. And before I came here, all the answers I got turned out to be the reality. So before you come, the answers or the questions you ask will be answered, and it will prepare you enough to come and assimilate into the society. And there are so many resources that are available to students in terms of mental health, in terms of just general questions, social activities. And that was a very good aspect, or in my perspective, that's helped me adjust much easy to the Swedish society and to studying in Sweden in general. Another thing I would also like to comment on, I think Matthias mentioned it earlier about the very good work-life balance. I think that in my past, in the bachelor's degrees that I've had, we had very short breaks between our education semesters. But then here in Sweden, although the Christmas break is short, there's a very long summer break where you can explore the nicest parts of Sweden, explore the nicest parts of Europe. And Gothenburg is a really beautiful city, so it gives you the chance to relax and recharge and then think about what you want to do for the next semester. And so that is also a really great aspect about University of Gothenburg. And again, the University of Gothenburg, another thing I want to add is that the University of Gothenburg gives you the freedom to choose what kind of courses you want to study. And so that gives you the freedom to sort of structure your course studying towards the kind of career that you want to pursue. And so that for me was a big change, because back where I'm from, everything is decided for you. So even if you're not interested in the course, you have to do it. But here in the University of Gothenburg, it's totally different. You can get to choose what you want to do, and gives you an insight or perspective into so many different courses that are really outside of the course that you applied for. For instance, I've done courses in geoscience and I didn't apply for a geoscience course. And so it gives you a very broad set of skills in terms of education as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
My kind
Cool.
of advice. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and I would like to add just to that yes, I think indeed it's also quite true that here, and I think this is the case for like studies in Sweden, but also studies at Gothenburg, that in many ways, like you say, you can explore some study areas or fields that you find interesting. For example, in a course, very often in courses you are very free to choose specific subjects that you like to work on, very like independently and very freely, also based on your own interests. And what you referred to in terms of like doing a bit like courses from other subjects, it might depend on what kind of program you're studying. But in many programs you have some kind of like, elective part where you can choose to do courses that are not part of your program, or maybe do an internship, or some other kind of practical focus work. So there is also freedom that comes with a master's program or a bachelor's program that you study here at the University of Gothenburg. So if you all would like to be in touch or hear more from our ambassadors, we'd also like to let you know that you can talk or chat with them a little more during our online student sessions. We have scheduled 4 different sessions in December, on December 3rd and December 10th. There are 2 1-hour sessions on each day. You can register for these online, and you'll also receive a link via email after this webinar. And yeah, you can sign up for these if you just want to have a chat with our ambassadors about what life is like as a student, or maybe by any chance you have an ambassador that is maybe studying a program that you're interested in, that you can chat to, and pretty much all kinds of questions that are relevant for you as an international student you can address there. But also, of course, if you have questions specifically more about, like your application, admission, or scholarships, then you are very free to attend our webinar next week on the 28th. Yes, and of course, you can also follow our ambassadors on Instagram, where we currently have some takeovers going on. So you can see what our ambassadors are up to throughout the next weeks. Thanks a lot for your time, and we hope you have a great day. Take care.